والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضُ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not check one set of people by means of another, the earth will indeed be full of mischief. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is full of bounty to the alameen. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a sunnah, made it a way that evil and righteousness and haqq, truth, will always fight against each other. Till the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep this going. To check the people, to bring out the good and leave the filth down in the bottom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, part of His sunnah, that He checks your iman. Part of His sunnah, He checks your beliefs. Part of His sunnah, He checks your obedience to Him. Sometimes in the means of giving you leadership and power. And sometimes in the means of preventing you from leadership and power. And sometimes in a way of taking your wealth away from you. And sometimes in giving you wealth. But as for the ones, they follow their whims, and they follow their desires, and they follow the hawa, they are the misguided. وَلَا تَتَّبِعِ الْهَوَى فَيُضِلَّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And do not follow the whims. Indeed will misguide you from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us from many so-called scholars and ulama. And that is the title of the lecture today. Scholars of falsifiers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala checks the belief of the believers. He checks their heart, whom they're going to follow, where they are going to go. When you hear a statement from scholars, so-called scholars, not according to the Quran, not according to the Sunnah, not according to the consensus of the Ummah, not according to any opinion of the renowned opinion of the ulama. So they can misguide, so they can mislead the people, so they can mislead the Muslims, so they can gain the positions they are looking for. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made these people to be drums of evil, to be flutes of evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, listen to what He says. الَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ الْفَاحِشَةُ فِي الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. These are the ones who love evil to spread amongst the believers. There is a group of people, my brothers, who are like that. And let me go back a little bit in history to show you how institutions of light can turn into institutions of evil. Places of light, how when rulers and tyrants get their hands on it, they change it and becomes a places for Shaitân to indwell and spread the misguidance and the mischief amongst the believers. And one of these examples, and I always had the respect in my heart towards some of the institutions, no matter what, I would never talk about it. But today, the words must be spoken. The truth must be said. We have to say what we need to say as Muslims and to warn our brothers in Islam. Because my brothers, some of us, when they hear the title of Mufti, their heart is shaken. When they hear the title of Al-Shaykh al-Akbar, the great Shaykh, you get scared. He's the great Shaykh. How can you rebuke him and refute him? When you hear a title like Al-Imam Al-A'lam, the great, most knowledgeable Imam, you get scared. But who gave you this title? Who chosen you with this title? Is it other ulama, they said this is who you are? Or a corrupt tyrant who said, I'll give you this title, and I'll give you all the TV channels, and all the cameras will be turning towards your direction. And the people would listen. Yeah, you see, he's the alim. Who are you to talk? Yeah, but how did he become an alim? Did other ulama elect him? When an institution, my brothers and sisters in Islam, like the Vatican, you know how they choose the Pope? They all meet in one room, and they close the door, and they discuss amongst them who's to be the next Pope. But when you go to some of the Islamic universities today, it is what the leader says he is, and then he becomes the greatest scholar. Even if he is a donkey, he still be given the title of the great Shaykh. That is the truth. That is a reality, my brothers. Al-Azhar University, the great university, the greatest university in Islamic history, Al-Azhar University. When Napoleon Bonaparte conquered our countries, Egypt, and he took it, and he was at the pinnacle of victory. He controlled most of the world, and he was one of the greatest, as the Western history described it, one of the greatest conquerors. After that, what happened? Who defeated Napoleon Bonaparte? It is the Azhar Islamic University that defeated Napoleon Bonaparte. The ulama of the Azhar University, they're the one who incited the people for a revolution against him. And they're the one who incited the jihad against Napoleon Bonaparte. And then he turned his back and he put his tails between his legs and he driven out of Egypt. Allahu Akbar. This is when the alim who's elected, he's elected by ulama. He was chosen by ulama, not by bachelors and PhDs and masters and all this. That was nothing. When the ulama say you're a alim, then you're a alim. Al-Imam Malik, he said, I couldn't give a fatwa. I couldn't give a fatwa until 72 muhannak testified to me, to my knowledge. You know what is 72 muhannak? The alims in his days, they used to wear the amama, the turban, and they run it under their hair, under their chin, around their neck and under it, and they used to call him muhannak, yani around his hanak, his jaw. And he became an alim, and he was able to give the fatwa. But today, snakes appear, and they speak about some of the most important issues in Islam. Consensus amongst the Muslims. Consensus, my brothers, amongst the Muslims is broken as if there is nothing. The man, Al-Imam Al-Akbar, they call him, Shaykh al-Azhar, the Shaykh of Azhar University. I'm just using this as an example to you, my brothers, because these personalities will be repeated throughout history. Now you're 25, when you're 50, when you're 35, when you're 40, you will hear someone comes up with the weed. Don't be scared, don't be shocked, don't be worried. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests the ummah, as I said earlier, with people like this. The ummah get tested. Are you going to follow him because he gave you the way out? Because he gave you a way out, or you're going to follow the Quran and the Sunnah? It is not the cameras who makes a alim alim. It is not a beautiful decorated website makes a alim alim. It is not the Sky channels that makes a alim alim. It is not George Bush that makes a alim alim. It is not the Western countries who make a alim alim. It is not the governments in the Middle East that make him alim alim. It is his knowledge, his word, when they coincide and adhere to the Quran and Sunnah. That's what makes him a scholar. As the ulama said, طفل الإسلام يرد على شيخ الإسلام إذا كان الدليل معه. The baby in Islam can refute the Shaykh al-Islam if he has the proof. If you have the proof, no one can stand against you. And that does not give an allowance to brothers to go debate and cause problems, because some brothers, they go ahead of themselves. No, but this is a saying the ulama they put to show you the honor is